So this is a question I get a lot, and it's often used in a negative way to kind of disparage Aboriginal cultures, like, "Oh, if they're so good, why didn't they build anything?" Well, this actually goes into a lot of anthropology and a whole bunch of other stuff. So I think we're going to break this into three videos. So this is going to be part one. So the first thing is that Aboriginal people actually did build quite a lot of things across Australia, but labelling Aboriginal people as nomadic allowed the early settlers of Australia to justify their takeover since they considered it not permanently inhabited by the local people. Now you can read about what's called terra nullius and the effects of it and how it disparaged and kind of stole land from Aboriginal people through a number of sources. I don't know anything about this book behind me, I just use it as a cover. So I'm just going to show some examples of Aboriginal buildings behind me as I talk. These are from all across Australia, from all different parts. So many Aboriginal people around Australia obviously constructed things. And these range from things like stone houses to weirs to gates and watercourses that enabled Aboriginal people to redirect water flow, trap fish and eels and things like that. And I believe in 1894, there was still 500 Aboriginal people living in these types of dwellings in the west of Australia. So there are accounts from British soldiers who arrived in Australia during the colonisation period and made their way from East Australia across to the west that talk about Aboriginal villages and farms as well as fish traps and water wheels. And behind me you can see what's probably, like, this is probably a good idea of what we're talking about, these huts. But there's also still some surviving examples of Aboriginal construction. So behind me is a place called the Brerawina Fish Traps. As you can see, there are a bunch of stones arranged in a way that allow fish to get in but not get out once the tide goes out. Pretty clever, pretty simple, but it allows Aboriginal people to easily catch fish. Now, what's fascinating about the Brewarina fish traps is that they're approximately 40,000 years old. 40,000 years old. So another example of Aboriginal construction is the Budgebim fish traps, which are in the southeast of Australia. These were built about 6,600 years ago, and they are the world's largest and oldest aquaculture system. These were built by the Gunditjmara people to trap, store, harvest and manage short-finned eel populations, and these have been traded all over Australia. This is also a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and these types of fish traps on a much smaller scale are found all over Australia. I've also personally seen stone structures such as the one to my left here and fish traps built on the islands in the Dampier Archipelago in the northwest of Australia that are about 9,000 years old, and new research has also identified terraces in this really rugged landscape that allowed Aboriginal people to grow tubers and fruit-bearing trees in the region. So when we talk about ancient stone structures, this is the image that people think of. This is one that comes up every single time. And every time I talk about Australian archaeology, people always say, if Aboriginal people were around for so long, why didn't they build anything like the pyramids? Well, this is actually a really complicated question. First of all, we're talking about these same different time periods that allow preservation of different types of materials. We're also talking about regions where things preserved. For example, wood is not preserved in the soil of Australia, whereas in places where the climate is really cold, and so we have a lot of like Viking ships that preserve almost completely underground. As well as there are not people organized to a sea state like they did in Egypt, but allowed them to have free labor. I'm going to have time to together, so if you want to learn more about this subject, like follow button, I'll post follow videos, maybe 2 more, this topic, and then we'll go on something else. So if you have questions, tell me, I'll answer any of the lost spreading knowledge. I'm glad you guys like it. I'm also streaming on Twitch Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, so if you do that kind of thing, follow me over there, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks.